when she introduced herself to the boat, someone on the boat misheard her and thought she said her name was Crispy. So we call her Captain Crispy every now and then. All right, so what does this tour look like? Well, it's a 1-hour boat cruise. We're going halfway down our lovely lake here. Once we get out there, we're going to stop, float around for 5 to 10 minutes, and then make our way back. On the way out there, I talk about the area here, the lake, a little bit about Banff and some of the history. And then on the way back, I stay pretty quiet. Let you all just enjoy the sights without the sound of my voice. Now, before we get too carried away with the tour, I do have some safety things to go over, so if I could have everyone's attention really quickly here. We're going to start with our emergency exit. That door at the back, that is our primary emergency exit. All of these windows also function as emergency exits, and then my personal favorite, we have the hatch, where we can crawl through there and pop out onto the bow. Now, underneath everyone's seats, there are some of these. These are our life jackets, yes. The way you're going to put on your life jacket is your head's going to go through there. You're going to slide these down. Eventually, yeah, there we go. Wrap them around your waist, tie them up in front, and then tie these two up underneath your chin. Now, it doesn't matter how you throw these on. They are reversible. Just as long as you tie yourself in, you should be good to go. For anyone on board who is under 90 pounds or 40 kilograms, we do have smaller life jackets at the front here that myself and Kirsty can distribute if we need those. And then for our one really, really small friend, mom or dad, you'll just put your life jacket on and then hold on to them. If we're putting on life jackets, pretty good chance we no longer want to be on the boat. So we have a life raft at the back of our vessel. It's that big white canister. You may have seen it when you got on. Should we need that, Kirsty and I will kick that into the water, get it inflated, and then fit everyone on board. That life raft, it holds 45 people. This boat also only holds 45 people. So there's more than enough space for everyone on that life raft. Does anybody have any questions about safety? No? Feeling good? Feeling safe? Amazing. I'd also like to take a quick second to recognize that we are currently on Treaty 7 territories. So what that means, we are in the ancestral homeland of the Stoney Nakoda, the Tsuut'ina Nation, the Blackfoot Confederacy, and Métis District 4. They make up those Treaty 7 territories and used to live along our shores hundreds and hundreds of years ago and maintained this area so that we can enjoy it today. So as we sail across these waters and enjoy these lovely views, let's just keep that in mind and pay a little bit of respect to the peoples that were here before us. All right. I will mention as well, the back deck. Some of you might be itching to go out there. You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to go out there at any point during the tour. Just a couple of rules associated with that back deck. Rule number 1: maximum of 8 people. Otherwise, the boat does that and things get kind of weird. Cycle through there compared the spear points that they found up here with some of the other spear points they had found down in Clovis, New Mexico, which is how the Clovis people get their name, and found that they were quite similar. Now these spear points, they would have been used on a weapon known as an addle-addle. Now the addle-addle, that translates to weapon or far. And what the addle-addle is, it's a spear that has a lever attached to it. Kind of like that dog toy that Chuck It helps you throw tennis balls really, really far. It works the same way, but with a spear. So with that addle-addle, it would help them throw weapon, far. Now the reason they needed that little bit of extra oomph in their throwing with the addle-addle is because the animals back then, about 30% larger than the ones you would see today. They lived in a period known as the megafauna period. So a lot of the animals you can see in Japan today, still around back then, just a little bit larger. Today, you can see some bighorn sheep. I don't know about you. I don't think I could take down a bighorn sheep roughly the size of a black bear with just my arms and a spear. I probably want to use the addle-addle as well. Has anybody seen any bighorn sheep yet? Couple nods. Yeah, nice. They like to hang out on our roads. They lick the road often. They may be thinking that's kind of a weird thing for animals to do, licking the road. Out here we salt our roads in the winter, and they lick up that salt because it contains keratin. That keratin helps their horns grow nice and big. So keratin, very similar to what your fingernails are made of. That's what their horns are made of. And this here, this is a plastic replica, but up close, this is what their horns would look like. And they're quite heavy. One horn on a bighorn sheep weighs in at around 30 pounds. So they're carrying around about 60 pounds of weight on their necks. Pretty heavy. Now if we just look out the right-hand side of the boat, you get to see a cool seasonal attraction. This waterfall here, it only flows from about May to the middle-ish of July. It's fed entirely by snow melt and rainfall, so not everyone gets to see that. So whoever bought your tickets today, give them a nice pat on the back for getting to see this nice seasonal attraction. This waterfall is called Girard Falls as it flows off of Girard Mountain. You may notice there isn't really a stream coming into the top of it. It's kind of just coming straight out the cliff face there. You'll also notice there's not a stream coming down to the water. So what's happening is the water is pushing out of the limestone. Most of the mountains in the area here are made up of limestone. So that water is coming out of the limestone, going back into the limestone, and then entering our lake through an underground spring. We have a whole bunch of underground springs that feed into our lake, giving us a lot of that water. So the reason water passes through limestone relatively easily is limestone is quite permeable. Water passes through it with relative ease. One second. Now, there's a group of people that lived along our shore that use limestone in their day-to-day lives. They are the Stoney Nakoda, one of the primary indigenous groups in this area here. So what they would have used limestone for is they found out that if you heated up these chunks of limestone, they could hold on to that heat for several hours after they had taken it out of the fire. They would warm up giant chunks of limestone, dig a pit next to the fire, line it with some animal hide, fill that pit with water, and then roll these chunks of limestone into that water, and it would start to boil. Myself and a couple captains last year, we were bored. We decided, hey, let's try this cooking method. So we heated up some limestone rocks, got a pot of water, and then alternated the rocks through that water. We actually got it to boil quite effectively. Now, Stoney Nakoda, they didn't have pots and pans, so digging that pit was the most efficient way for them to boil water. And I've got a little bit of a demonstration for you all today. I'd like to introduce you to my good friend, Roxanne. Get it? because it's a rock. So here, this is a nice hot chunk of limestone. We don't heat them up on fires, we heat them up in an electric oven, because apparently starting fires on the dock is dangerous. This here, quite warm rock. What do you think happens when we add water to it? It explodes. No, just kidding. We get a little bit of steam. So if this rock's hot enough. Yeah, a little bit. A little bit of steam. Pretty neat. And you can see the rock dries off pretty quickly as well. I'll try and do one more for everyone at the back here. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of steam. Pretty neat. So like I said, we heated up these rocks and they hold on to that heat for quite some time after they've been taken out of their heat source. Now, I know you all bought tickets for a boat cruise today. I bet you weren't expecting to see a rock show. Alright, I'll stop with the bad jokes for now. Some of the Dakota would boil their water, and they would use it to make all sorts of soups, stews, and teas. Now, one of the reasons we talk about the Stony Dakota so much out here, they're responsible for giving the lake its name. So we're on Lake Minnewanka. That's not an English word, right? No, it's not a French word either. It comes from the Sioux language family. The Sioux language is spoken all across North America amongst a bunch of different indigenous groups. Now, has anybody heard of that Sioux language before? Couple nods, couple shakes. That's okay. I can guarantee just about everyone has heard a Sioux word at one point in their life. There is a state down in the U.S. that sounds a lot like Minnewanka. That's Minnesota. That also comes from that same Sioux language. Are you from Minnesota at the back? Amazing. What's the little slogan you have on your license plate? Yeah, land of 10,000 lakes. That comes from a rough translation of Minnesota. Minna translates to water. Soda translates to many, many waters. Land of 10,000 lakes. Now we come up to Minnewanka here. Minna translates to water. What do we think Wonka translates to? Not quite. It's not chocolate factory either. Not rocks. No. It translates to spirited. So we're on these spirited waters. We're not talking about ghosts or ghouls out here. We're just referring to a general energy in nature. Let's look around us. Look at the water. What do you think? Spirited? Not spirited? Not really. Pretty calm, eh? This is an unusually calm day for us. Normally we can see waves up to 3 or 4 feet tall. So that's just over a meter tall out here. The largest waves that we've encountered are 7 feet tall. So about 2 meters, crashing over the bow of our boat. Now these 7-foot waves, they're generated through turbulent windstorms. Our valley's pretty unique. We go from the west to the east and open up into the prairies. What happens is that warm prairie wind comes up, mixes with that cold mountain air, and creates these turbulent windstorms. We have one captain that still works with us. His name's Captain Kenji. He's the only one to have experienced those 7-foot waves. He always tells us that his knuckles were white and his eyes were wide open as they went over those big swells. So we're pretty fortunate.